There's a weird lie we all buy into at some point that doing more will somehow fix everything. More goals, more habits, more plans, more hustle. But what if the real problem is that we're doing too much? I just finished reading Essentialism by McKeown, and instead of giving you a summary, I want to share what actually stuck, and more importantly, how I've started applying it in real life. Essentialism isn't minimalism. It's not about doing nothing or becoming detached from ambition. It's about choosing what actually matters and being ruthless about everything else. One idea that hit me hard is that if it's not a clear yes, then it's an absolute no. Not a maybe, not a sure I can squeeze it in, an actual no. I have absolutely used this rule in my writing. When I'm reading back some of my work, I look at it and I go, did I think that this was absolutely necessary to the progression of the story? Does it make sense for the chapter? If I read something back and I think, oh, this might be optional or this might be good, I cut it completely. Sometimes writing needs to be simple. That's how I employ the absolute no rule from Essentialism. He does a really good job of showcasing this with the 90% rule. Essentially, he says, as you evaluate an option, think about the single most important criterion for that decision and then simply give the option a score between 0 and 100. And if you rate it any lower than 90%, then automatically change the rating to 0 and simply reject it. What's being said here is that if it's not an absolute yes, which is anything above 90%, then you should not be saying yes to that decision. So here's the part that people kind of get wrong. Saying no isn't selfish. In fact, it often shows confidence. When you say no clearly, you're not rejecting people, you're protecting your priorities. And the irony is, people usually respect you more for it. Essentialism reframes no as a tool, not a failure. A boundary, a signal that you know what matters. Personally, I set out my schedule every day. I can get pretty packed up. I'm in a very taxing degree. I have a lot of creative projects on the run, and sometimes I need to kind of put that stuff in a calendar and try to keep to that calendar. I have a lot of people asking me to take on other tasks or to jump on to other projects or to maybe just have some social time. If I don't say no to some of these things, then my calendar will be messed up and I'll have to come back to the tasks that I've set out for myself way later. Now, don't get me wrong, I really appreciate getting all those requests. I think it makes me feel needed, important, and so on. If I want to maintain that level of, reputation, or if I want to maintain that feeling for myself, then that means I have to produce quality work in the things that I have decided are important. Another uncomfortable truth from the book is sleep and play are just as important as work. Not rewards, not bonuses, requirements, or anything like that. It's rest and play. When we treat rest as optional, everything else becomes harder. Focus, discipline, decision-making, prioritizing, moving forward. Essentialism flips that logic and says protecting your energy first, and the work improves naturally. I decided to read Essentialism because I thought I really needed it at this point in my life. I was being pulled way too thin. And in doing so, I was sacrificing a lot of my rest. I wouldn't say I was sacrificing the play portion. I was still having a social life and a good time, but my quality of work was taking a major hit because I was not getting enough sleep. If you don't sleep, then you will suffer in your area of work. This is really well laid out in the book. In the study reported by the journal Nature, over 100 volunteers were given a number puzzle with an unconventional twist. It required finding a hidden code to uncover the answer. The volunteers were divided into two groups. One was allowed an 8-hour stretch of uninterrupted sleep, and another group received interrupted sleep. The scientists then watched to see which volunteers found the hidden code and how quickly they found it. The result was that twice the number of people who had slept for 8 hours solved the problem than the volunteers from the sleep-deprived group. Science literally backs this. You need sleep to do quality work, and you can't say something's essential if you're not protecting that part of the machine that gets the task done. And that is you. So how do you actually apply this without it becoming another system you abandon? The book talks about moving from effort to execution, making life predictable and easy. For example, want to go to the gym? Lay your clothes out the night before. Want to eat better? Remove decision making, same breakfast, same plan every day. Want consistency? Reduce friction. The goal isn't motivation, it's removing obstacles. Big goals feel exciting and overwhelming. Essentialism pushes the opposite approach. Small goals that compound. Instead of tackling everything at once, you face obstacles one at a time. You build real momentum by stacking small wins. Progress doesn't come from intensity, it comes from consistency. Take your biggest goal right now and break it down into 5 steps. Then break those steps down into 5 steps again. So let's say you have 25 steps to get to your ultimate goal. That seems like a lot, but what Essentialism wants you to do is focus on one step at a time and do the smaller, more achievable ones so that eventually you progress to that. You can't tell me, oh, I want to lose 50 pounds. You're not going to wake up tomorrow and lose 50 pounds. It's going to seem unachievable at some points. If you set smaller goals, I want to lose a pound this week, that is much more achievable and you'll feel like you're progressing, making it so that you continue and stay consistent towards that goal. It will make sure that you do not lose motivation. Priorities definition is a thing that is regarded as more important than another. We can't have multiple priorities. How can you have something that's more important than others if they're all on the same scale? That also creates a lot of confusion. How are you supposed to focus on one task when another one's on your mind? It's not 5 priorities. It's not a ranked list. 1. When everything is important, nothing actually is. Here's a framework I pulled directly from the ideas in this book. Number 1, purpose. Why am I doing this? You need to know why you're pursuing a task in order to keep that motivation. Number 2, small steps. What is the next tiny action I can take to move this process forward? Number 3, clarity. What does success actually look like? If you're gonna set a goal, you need to know what that goal is. And I'm not saying, oh, I wanna go to the gym and lose weight. That's way too obscure. Set yourself something that you can calculate, that you can achieve, and that you can see. 4, priority. What am I focusing on right now? And is it more than one thing? Clarity isn't optional, it's necessary. When goals are clear, habits form easier. Setup becomes easier, and focus becomes automatic. Essentialism isn't about doing less for the sake of it. It's about doing the right things on purpose. One goal at a time, one obstacle at a time, one clear yes surrounded by intentional no's. You've been feeling overwhelmed, stuck, or stretched thin. Maybe the answer isn't more effort. Maybe it's less but better. I leave you with a quote from the book. Will you choose to live a life of purpose and meaning, or will you look back on your one single life with twinges of regret? Maybe it's less, but it's better.